You should know the lonely moments just get lonelier the longer you're in love than if you were alone. Memories turn into daydreams, become a taboo. I don't want to be afraid. The deeper that I go, it takes my breath away. Soft thoughts, electric souls, heart to heart and eyes to eyes. Is this taboo? Baby, rebuild this house of memories. Take my picture now, check it till you see it, and when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in the house of memories. I think of you from time to time, more than I thought I would. You were just too kind, and I was too young to know.
Sorry, I'm just playing music. Just while I set up, I'll turn it off when I get started.
Take my picture now, take it till you see it, and when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in the house of memories. Those thoughts of past lovers have always haunted me. I wish I could believe you never left me. And will you remember me in the same way as I remember you? Baby, rebuild this house on memories. Take my picture now, check it till you see it, and when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place. Baby, rebuild this house on memories. Take my picture now, check it till you see it, and when your fantasies become your legacy, promise me a place in the house of memories. House of memories.
Okay, I think that's my cue to turn that off. Sorry, I just love that song. It was stuck in my head. Such a good song. To Panic at the Disco. I should probably start, but I have no idea where to start. Also, just want to note, I have chips and a drink, and I'm munching on my chips, so I'm sorry if you hear grunting. No, while I was doodling up the concept for their hair, I made the first one, and I wasn't even going to make a second option before. I was just going to ask if anyone had any other ideas, because I didn't know what else to do. But then I came up with this one, and I actually hated it at first and didn't want to do it, but I powered through and made it, and it actually ended up being the way majority, and I'm glad that I did it because I actually really like this style. It's really cute. I see when they're twins, their hairs flow away from each other because, yes. My DeviantArt's name? Yes, it did come from Stardust. What is Nightmare's backstory? Their backstory's together, and I can discuss that here in a minute. But how did you come up with their names? Well, I should say this. These were the first two OCs I have, and I changed them around to make them fit in my AU thing because I refuse to let them go because I love them so much. And when I was younger, even now, I'm obsessed with space. And basically, how I found Stardust's name is I was just Googling like space terms, and Stardust came up, and I liked it. Human Nightmare was just supposed to be edgy, so I named her Nightmare. She's not as edgelord anymore. She's still edgy, but she's not cringy edgy. Which I'm hoping she's not. Pray to God. And that's what the whole point of this is, to make sure she's not. So, I've been thinking about their story a lot, and I'm just going to give a brief kind of understanding of what's going on. Basically, even though they're based off of Yin and Yang, the reason their clothes and stuff don't like resemble the actual Yin and Yang symbols is because they grew up in the human world. Like, cause all right, I gotta find a nice starting point because I don't want to have to keep backtracking and get people confused. Excuse me, sorry. These two characters are not human characters. They are actually alicorn OCs, technically. That's the species I gave them. And I'm going to call them alicorns, even though I don't want to. But that's the most familiar term. It'll be the easiest. Ah! Oh God, no! What have you done? No! Please, don't make me have Vietnam flashbacks. I beg of you. Yeah, their personalities are based off of yin and yang. And I'll get into that in a second. I'm trying not to lose myself here. Okay, so they are the alicorn species, and that's a whole different story explaining how that stuff works. That's not what I'm going to talk about in this game. But basically, there was someone going around. I'm not going to say who it is because it's spoilers. And they were given the nickname the Slayer. I know that's really edgy, and I might change in the future, but I like it. But it's because they were the only person, they didn't know what species this person was, that was able to kill alicorns. And no one knew how or why. But a bunch of alicorns were disappearing, and to help the species stay alive because they were scared they were going to go extinct, they sent it's still kind of fuzzy, but like they sent the energy of certain alicorns to a human world where they'd be safe from the fomitted Slayer. So, and basically, the Yin and Yang spirit used to be one alicorn, but then she was the first to be killed by the supposed Slayer. And basically, she was legit ripped in half, split into two parts, the Yin and the Yang. And another Alicorn OC I have, I named her the Black Queen. I talk about her in a different stream. But she captured each spirit individually. And she knew that someone would find them and break them free if she kept it in their world. So she put it in her dump zone, what she calls the dump zone, which is basically the human world they're in. And she kept them in containers that eventually they'd be able to break out of, because she had a feeling she wouldn't be able to last very long or survive the slaying. She did, but she was right to do that because she got captured later on. Just tell me if I'm confusing any of you. Oh, shit, Dark AF, yeah. But basically, their spirits, the spirit of Yin and Yang, were trapped separate from each other. They were just like a few feet apart, but they were in separate containers, and Yin and Yang is supposed to be together always. So as time went on, the spirits got more and more aggressive, trying to break out, and eventually, like thousands of years later, they broke free. They shattered their glass containers, whatever they were in. I still need to work that out. This is still rough sketch, so any input is good. And they didn't have a form anymore. And so they had to find one. And this is going to be very, very, very fucked up, what I'm about to say. So this is a bit of a warning. They found a mother, single mother, who was pregnant, and the spirits infested basically whoever the child that was going to be born before doesn't exist now. They took their life and used it for their own. And the woman was pregnant with twins. So the Yin and Yang spirit had to split up into each body where it chose to split up. Still complicated. And that is how these two were created. I know. But basically, because of magical shit, I don't know, the woman wasn't able to handle the birth, and the mother quickly died, unfortunately. The twins were shipped off to an orphanage, but because of their certain personalities, they weren't adopted. They were kept there for about 3 or 4 years. I'm debating between which one. And Stardust, as this is before, they didn't have names before. Yeah, I'm sorry, I know it's dark, but it happened. Their names, they don't have names at this point because they're still adopted, and they're trying to make them be more available to adopt. Like, hey, these kids don't have names, you could name them yourself. It's like some fucked up puppy thing. It's weird. Anyways, but yes, this world is part of, it's not, well, it is part of the creepypasta world, so it needs to be dark, otherwise it's not gonna fit. I had to change a lot of the MLP stuff to make it more dark and sinister, so it fit better. But anyways, they were about 3 or 4. I'm still debating which age. And Stardust was very, very kind, very kept to herself, knew boundaries, very respectful. And when people were around her, they felt fine. They didn't feel threatened or anything. When they were around Nightmare, or I can remember Yin and Yang. When they were around Nightmare, they felt uneasy. Nightmare destroyed everything. When she was in fits of rage, she would just tear things off the wall, break things. She would be easily irritated. She made everyone around her feel uncomfortable. And so she was very unlikable, and Stardust was very likable to be adopted. But Stardust refused to go without Nightmare because they were sisters. And if you want to get really dark, they were basically, they have to be together, otherwise bad things happen. And I'll explain that in a little bit too. And sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a second. I have the chat open So I keep looking over and glancing to read what you guys are saying, just in case any of you have an input. So it took a long time, but eventually this one lady really wanted to adopt Stardust because she was a really respectful child, even though she was only 3 years old. They were very mature, even though for being 3, they could talk the broken English of 5-year-olds. I think I might make it 3 or 4. I don't know. Which was odd, but they just figured, oh, they grew up fast. But Stardust wouldn't go without Nightmare, so the woman agreed to adopt both of them. So I don't remember which is Yin is dark. I don't know. I googled it and it said Yin was light and Yang was dark, but I don't know. If I really want to get into it, I'll do more research. But right now, I'm just kind of getting it on the plate out there. But basically, at this point, they still don't have names. The lady and her husband, who I'm debating if she's gonna have a husband or not. I think because he doesn't really play a part, so I might just cut him out completely. I might do that. I'm not sure. But anyways, she's thinking of names, and Stardust is a very calm person, and she wanted her to have a unique name. So she kept thinking about it. She asked people, and eventually she came up with the name Stardust. I might think of a more in-depth way of how she got it, but right now it's about all it is. And Nightmare, she was still thinking of a name for her, but one time Nightmare got upset and went into a fit of rage and wrecked everything. Threw things, knocked over the table, knocked everything off their counters, and she named her Nightmare because she was a nightmare to deal with. And that's why I made it a reason why she has an edgy name. Yay. Aww. That's so sweet. Sorry, I just looked at Discord. That is so sweet. Anyways, I got distracted. I'm sorry. Anyways, let me continue. It was like, oh yeah, warning, the following I'm about to say is kind of dark and does have elements of child abuse. So if you're sensitive to that, mute your mic, your mic, turn off your audio until I put safe in the chat. So the following is going to have child abuse, and if you're sensitive to that, just stop listening for now and come back in a little bit. Okay? Alright, here we go. So, the woman only wanted Stardust, but knew she wouldn't go without Nightmare. And originally, she was fine with having 2 kids, adopting both of them, but when Nightmare was such a nightmare, she was so tired of dealing with her that she came up with such a psychotic plan. But she would lock Nightmare in a room completely away from Stardust, separating them constantly. They almost never saw each other in that house. And she would feed Nightmare a little less food every single day until she just stopped feeding her completely. And her really very fucked up plan was to slowly let Nightmare starve to death and claim she refused to eat. And then tell Stardust that's what happened. She wasn't feeling good. She refused to eat, and that's how she passed away. So she wouldn't have to deal with the kid anymore. Very fucked up, I know. But that was her plan. Until Naira refused to stay in the place she put her, I don't know, closet, basement, just locked her room. Details. And she came out And evil motherfucker. Oh my god. Anyway, so Nightmare came out of the room and she started fighting with her. And because she's so young and little, there wasn't much she could do. And she was speaking broken English. Wasn't very good. And Stardust heard the racket and came to see what was going on. And this is so fucked up. This is so fucked. The mother was about to start hitting Nightmare. Physical abuse until Stardust ran in front of her and wouldn't and stood in between them. The stepmother, adopted mother, screamed at her to move. She refused to and basically said something along the lines of, "I won't let you hurt my sister." Stuff like, that cheesy stuff. Details. But basically, after that, they refused to stay there. They found a way to get out. That's more details I haven't thought about yet. This is very recent. Like, I just thought of this concept a few days ago and I've been ironing it out for a few days. That's what this whole thing's about. But basically, I'm just gonna fast forward. They're 15 at this time. They live together alone, together in a little house. They live in a little town where a sweet old lady lets them work at her cafe, and Stardust, because of her nice personality, is always at the front. She's always welcoming people, taking their order, because of Nightmare's interesting personality. She's normally in the back helping count money or organizing things. She's normally never out front because she can't really deal with people. So, and basically, that was just their normal life, was working at that little cafe to make money, to pay rent, and everything was fine. They had a friend, and I'm debating who it's gonna be. I think I'm gonna make it QwQ, but she's like in disguise. It's still iffy, but I like the idea of them having a friend, someone to actually talk to and hang out with when they're not at the house. It gives them an idea of something that gives them more life. And I think I'm going to make it QwQ because QwQ's one of my favorite characters, and she doesn't really have a role in this AU yet, so that'll be her role. But basically, on the night of their 16th birthday, they were talking, and Stardust brought up the concept of, if you could wish for anything or do anything, what would you do? And Nightmare said, I would go travel to a beachside and just relax by the side of the beach. And Stardust said, well, that'd be so cool. We'd have so much fun there. And Nightmare responded, I wouldn't want you there. Which started this huge argument. And keep in mind at this time, sorry, I don't mean to keep jumping around. But keep in mind, at this time, they have no idea that they're not human. For all they know, they're human. Actually, wait, that actually doesn't. I forgot a detail. Shit. No, I almost forgot a very important detail. Okay, I gotta backtrack a little bit. I'm sorry. They still work at the cafe. They're still 15, but they took a trip and they went to the town they were born in / where that lady used to live. And they live in the town just over. It's not too far. They can take a train in between each. But they went there just for nostalgia to see what's changed. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I got flustered. But so they went to the town that they were born in for nostalgia, and they were exploring around. And this is still, I feel like I keep saying and, I'm sorry. This is still very needs to be thinned out, but basically they find where the spirits are being kept in their shattered containers, and on the floor is a book locked with a little latch, not even like a lock and key, just a little latch. Want to swap voices? No, your voice is too cute for me. I can't pull off a voice that cute. Sorry. But sorry, my brain just died. But they found a book and had it was a little latch book, no lock, just a little latch. And on top was a note that basically, it was written by the Black Queen herself, knowing that one day the spirit would break free and would want to reinfest. That sounds so weird. They'd want to. How did Nightmare get her eye patch? Sorry, I just saw that message. I will get there here. I'm almost done with the quick little backstory thing. I'm so sorry this is taking so long. But I'll have to scroll back up and see if there's any other questions. Let me just finish this up real quick because I'm almost done with the basic backstory thing. But they found the book, and on the letter, it was basically just her saying, "Hey, you may have grown up as humans, but you're not human. You are the spirit of Yin and Yang." And she explains that you're probably one person, but she was always hoping it would be split into two people. And because I guess she was lucky, it did get split into two different people. And so they do know they're not human. They know that they are formed from the spirits of Yin and Yang, all that fun stuff. They barely understand it. I barely understand it. But so they know, and they have that book, and they've always been too scared to open it, so it's just sat in like a drawer and has never been unlatched. It's always just laid. It's always been in a drawer. They've never had the confidence to even look at it or open it. They did take it. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Their 16th birthday, and Nightmare said she doesn't want her there. And they get into this big argument, and Nightmare just keeps screaming that she just wants her privacy. She just wants to be alone. For once in her life, she just wants to be alone. And Stardust said, "You do get your privacy. You have your own room." And she says, "That's not what I mean. I mean, I want to get away from you." And they start getting more and more intense. And I'm going to say they were out walking when this happened. Because if they were at home, this next part wouldn't make any sense. So they were out walking. Sorry for jumping concepts. I'm still sorry for that. But basically, Nightmare just kept getting more and more pissed, and when young in my worlds, when young characters with powers get pissed, their emotions can spike up their powers even if they have no idea how to use it. She just kept getting more and more pissed, and she finally just screamed, "Why don't you just go home?" and shoved her. And she thought, and threw her in. I can speak English. I got this. Shit. Let me just breathe and drink some more water. Okay, sorry. My brain started going faster than my mouth, and that's what happens. Basically, she got really pissed, and she screamed, "Why don't you just go home?" She ended up opening a portal and shoving her into it. Unintentionally. She didn't even know how to do that. Just because she got very emotional. And she walked back to the house alone. And when she got there, she felt guilty for yelling at her and was trying to find Stardust to apologize. She wasn't there. She kept looking. She eventually started tearing things out, ripping out drawers. Even though she knew Stardust wouldn't be hiding in the cabinets, she still tore stuff out looking for her. And eventually the whole house was just trashed. And when she teleported her home, it was to the homeland where they originally were meant to live. So Stardust isn't even in the same world as her anymore. And that's pretty much the backstory before their story kind of begins. So, yeah. Their home. Yeah, it took home literally, like their homeland. Okay, let me scroll back up and look for questions. That's the basic little backstory. Oh, I forgot to put safe in the chat. I'm sorry. I think everyone just kept listening, so I think it's okay. Sorry, let me scroll up, and I'm so sorry if I missed anyone's questions. I'm gonna... Okay. You... Okay, there's a question. How did number get her eye patch? That was after Stardust, the whole fight, and Stardust was gone. It took a while. It was months. It was, I'm going to say, half a year, about 6 months. She finally opened that book and started learning spells, because that's what the book was full of. Things to learn, what you can do to be better, what you can learn, what you can't learn. Well, not what you can't learn, because that'd be useless. But a bunch of information, all that fun stuff. Sorry, I was reading the chat. But basically, she learned how to use her magic better, and she forced herself to be good enough to open up a portal to the world that she believed Stardust was in. And at this time, now this is a concept I've been playing with. Don't know if I'm going to use it or not. I kind of like the idea. So Nightmare is someone to play off of. I was debating the idea of having someone with her and having it be a creepypasta character. Like, what is his name? I don't remember his real name. I think it was Isaac. Oh yeah, it was Isaac. His creepypasta name was I think it's just Gross Man. Yeah, I know. It's just Gross Man, and then it's Isaac from the Laughing Jack story. And I really liked how they made him into a creepypasta in some worlds, and I wanted to do that because I really liked the concept. And that's the only way I could think of working him in, is if... There's so many concepts that I need to explain for things to make sense, but I don't want to keep jumping between. I'm just going to finish what I'm talking about and then go back. Basically, found Nightmare. Nightmare found him. One of the two. Details. They started working together. Let's just say that. Details. Help with the explanation, please. Okay, so I'm debating if he's going to be there or not. I just think it'd be good for her to have someone to actually talk to and play off of. Like if I end up doing scenes with her, I guess, because if she's just alone, it's gonna be kind of awkward. Anyways, back to the actual thing I was trying to say. She found her way to the world that she believed she sent Stardust to. And as soon as she entered the world, she could sense like the presence of her there. It's hard to explain. She could tell that Stardust was or is there. So she looked for her, and the strongest place was Papa, the castle, because yay. And this is their homeland is Equestria, if I didn't make that very clear. And so she tried to sneak into the castle and see if she could find like a book of where people are or find her in the castle itself. And she dragged Grossman along with her because he shouldn't be there. She doesn't care. But she drags him along anyways. And they're climbing up the castle wall. And he's freaking out because he's like, I don't think we should be up here. And she just tells him, it's fine. As long as we don't fall, we'll be fine. It's like, what's the worst that could happen? You already know that's famous last words. Basically, the forbidden slayer that everyone thought was gone, their hand shoots out of the wall, breaks through, and claws the side of Nightmare's face, ripping her eye out and leaving a big hole where her eye should be. And that caused her to lose her balance and fall off of the roof, basically smashing her into the ground. And because alicorns are immortal, they can regenerate. The rest of her body regenerates after 10 minutes or so, and she had her God, I can speak English, I swear to God. She had her sleeve over her eyes the whole time, and she lifts up her arm. Surprise, surprise, the eye isn't healed. It hasn't done anything to heal it, it's just there. The reason the Slayer was so vicious, I don't know the word to use, feared, the reason the Slayer was so feared was because they were the only person who was able to cause permanent damage to alicorns. Give them enough permanent damage and they aren't able to regenerate themselves and they just die. Oh my god. Weird idea. Weird idea, but I don't know. It's a cool concept, but it wouldn't really work for Stardust's character. She's a very kind person and she could probably never be a dictator or anyone with power, control over anything. She's not a person who'd be able to be good at that. But yeah, so that's how Nightmare lost her eye. Everyone thought the Slayer was gone, but apparently not. And she was the most recent victim of them. With it just being her eye, most alicorns lost limbs or had their back clawed, or a certain alicorn that I love her design. She made this Slayer, because I know who the Slayer is, and I'm not going to tell you guys because spoilers. But she was fighting with the Slayer, made the Slayer really mad, and the Slayer clawed the fuck out of her face. Like, the only thing that was left was, like, her left eye. That was the only... Left eye? No, the right eye. God. Remember your own concepts, Skylar. Her right eye was the only thing that wasn't completely clawed away. It was very, very, very gross. Anyways, but I was basically trying to say is that she has very minimal damage to her, just compared to others. Yeah. I feel like I've been... I don't know how to speak English. Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. But, is there any other concepts that I should talk about? Better thing to ask. Do you guys have any other questions? I'm happy to answer them. Can Sky speak the English? No. No, I cannot. So, do you guys have any other questions? Did I leave some things open? Because, like I said, if I don't have this all written down to read, my brain gets very jumbled. Do you even speak United Kingdom? Just thinking of what else to say or talk about. There's a song I found that really reminds me of these two, is what really inspired me to start working on them again. And it is, what, if I can find the song. It's called, oh, I feel like I'm gonna say this wrong. No, she's not. She's not with him anymore. That was a very cringy part of my life that I prefer to forget. Because this is an MLP/Creepypasta AU. There's no Undertale. It was a very cringy moment in my life. We're just gonna pretend those don't exist. Nightmare doesn't date anyone. She probably will never date anyone. Unless people have ships, I don't know. But in the actual story, she will never date anyone. It wasn't cringy. I think it was. I'm the biggest Undertale nerd. Same. Okay, here's the song, but I feel like I'm gonna say the names wrong. Evelyn. That's the name of the song. It's this song if you ever heard it. It's a really good song, and it's based, I think it's from an album. It's from an album based on the story of the, what are they called? I want to call them Siamese twins, but they're not. About two twins that were born stuck together in the same body. I don't know if I remember what's it called. What they are called. It wasn't called Siamese twins. It was a different term, but I don't remember it. I just listened to the story the other day. It was really good. But that's the song that inspired me because it sounds like the two of them singing the lyrics. Especially because there's a fight scene later on in the song, and that's what really inspired the fight they had. Conjoined twins? Yeah, they were, but there was like a special word for it. But at least you made your own art. I use bases, a lot of bases. And there's nothing wrong with using bases, but I mean, I didn't even want to draw my own art, and that was very sad. So, I'm still trying to think of what else I could talk about these OCs. Because I'm going to put it all down eventually. Maybe even tonight, I might start the draft of it, because it's not going to be like a full-fledged story. It's just going to be a description of what's happened, because it's probably just going to be posted on my DA, and when I make the video officially reintroducing them, I'll just leave a link to the DA journal, so I don't have the description that's like a mile long. I learned my mistake when I did the Twilight speed paint. But my nose itches. So basically, these two are going to be the link that actually first starts the story, or like why the creepypastas know about the equestrian MLP universe. It'll make sense, I swear. I'm trying my best not to make it cringy. But I mean, depending on how you look at the concept, no matter what, it's cringy. But whatever. I like the concept, and I've been working on it for so long. I like it. Don't judge me. Do you guys have any more questions? Like, because I know I can go on tangents. I can do that easily. But when I don't know what to talk about, that's the issue. I guess I could talk about their personalities. Or yeah, that's the thing I should talk about, the personality thing. So like I said before, they're based off Yin and Yang personality-wise. Since they grew up in the human world, they didn't know it all, so they didn't dress accordingly. Which they don't have to. Hey, think about that concept. But basically, as long as they're together, they act like normal people with every emotion. But when they were separated, you have full body sketches. Sketch for both? No, this is all I have right now because I was doing this to test the hair. Because I never had a hair design for them, and I like this one. It really grew on me, and I really like it. But I will eventually, because the meme I'm doing has a bunch of full body shots, so. But like I was saying, when they were separated, like they were in the story, I'm not sure how to explain this. Okay, the yin and yang symbol, I'm going to pull it up. I can show you what I mean. I'm just getting a Google image because I don't want to sit here and try to draw a perfect circle for like an hour. So here, I want to stop. Oh, and that's not gonna work. Why can't I just have an easy image? Please, it's all I ask. Okay, thank you, Google. Okay. Here's basically what I mean. Oh, Jesus. That was a lot bigger than I thought it was going to be. Hey, cord. My cord's touching the screen of my phone and it's screwing it up. Okay, let's just make this tinier. To make it easier so I can explain them. Turn all these off for a second. And, okay, but I can't tell. Okay, we're gonna leave it like that. Whatever. Sorry. Okay, so basically, when they're together or in the same area, they're whole. They're both of their. Oh my god, that almost went in a really weird direction. They're whole. They can feel every emotion. They act like normal people. But when they were separated, and even then they were in so far apart that it had an even bigger impact on them. They were separated. It's hard to see, whatever. They were separated. And as time went on, they started to lose the other half of them because they didn't have the other part of them, so they started to lose. For Nightmare, she started to lose her positive emotions. And for Stardust, she started to lose her negative emotions. And for Stardust, and people were like, oh, she just lost her negative emotions. That can't be that bad. Negative emotions were emotions that were considered weak. So she lost empathy, pity, she lost guilt, she lost sadness, all like the weak or positive emotions. or negative emotions, she lost. And the longer time went on, Stardust became overbearingly happy, like sickly happy. Like there was something weird about her. She didn't seem. It was, how to explain it. Just sickly happy. And Nightmare became more and more cruel, more and more distant, and eventually, this is right before they found each other again, they completely became the separate halves. Nightmare being only the dark half, and Stardust only being the light half. And that's basically the concept. I had to use visuals because I figured it'd help better. And put this back up now. Okay. So that's that concept. The fun emotion concepts, yeah. I didn't think it'd be a long stream. I'm not sure what else to talk about. Yeah. I'm mainly just doing this stream to talk about it because my brain has been as you can tell from me talking, the way I'm talking, my brain's been just going so fast, thinking about new concepts, what I could add, what I should take away, and just getting a basic plate of what happens out and getting your guys' opinion. That really helps me and I think will really help in the future. So, then this is a concept I played with, and I don't know if I'm going to add it, but I might add it because it helps the world stay connected. But after Stardust disappears. Oh, that reminds me of a concept. So many concepts I'm forgetting. I should have just wrote a list down before I started the stream. Note for next time, write down a list of concepts to talk about. But basically, when they're together, they perfectly balance each other out, so they become invisible when it comes to like sensing energies, because that's a thing. They become invisible because they perfectly balance each other out. But when they're separated, they become basically beacons of energy, saying like, "I'm over here." It's like going into a dark room and holding a flashlight. You just become that clear of a beacon to anyone who can sense energies. That fun stuff. Sorry, I'm reading something. Okay, that was really cool. I lost train of thought. Okay, I remember now. So when they're together, they're perfectly even, but when they're separated, they become beacons, like holding a flashlight in the dark. So that thing. So this is a concept I played with. Don't know if I'll use it or not. I might change it around, but the concept is that after Stardust disappeared or went missing, whatever you want to use, Nightmare basically became a beacon of like energy, like very easy to find. She couldn't really hide that well. Only thing was because she was in such a small town, and she didn't leave that town. Her energy just kind of spread out across the town, so that made her a little harder to find because no one could pinpoint where the energy was coming from. Now, this concept I played with, this may be cringy to some, and I apologize, but I'm just gonna say it, get it out. That because I used QwQ as a friend, she found out what happened to Stardust. Nightmare basically confessed to her that's like, we're not human. We just found out recently. And I blew up at her and explained to her what happened. And I just realized a big mistake. If Nightmare explains how Stardust went missing, then that concept won't work. Oh no. This is why I'm doing this, so I can think about it and realize that some concepts won't work. Like, okay, let me rethink this. Oh. Hold on. Okay, sorry about that. My mom came to talk to me. Sorry, I muted myself. Anyways, I gotta find where I was talking about again. Oh, I was rethinking the concept. Okay. So instead of, so Nightmare just, okay, because she's emotionally distraught, I'm gonna say she only told her they weren't human and showed her the letter. That's it. She didn't tell her how Nightmare disappeared, Stardust disappeared, or anything like that. Okay. So they go to the cafe that the nice old lady lets them work at, and they ask, have you seen Stardust here? And the lady says no, she hasn't seen her since last time the two of them were there. And she mentions the disappearance of many other people. Wait. Oh my god, there's so many concepts that I need to rethink. Because now I'm thinking about them and like, I didn't explain. Okay. Oh my god. This is so hard to say verbally because it's not a bad idea. I don't think it is. But for some reason, for me, trying to say it out loud is making me cringe like crazy. And like, because if I was writing this down, I'd have no problem doing that. But when I'm trying to speak it, is the issue. So I'm sorry if you really wanted to know about that concept, but I don't like. I think I'm gonna play with it a little bit more and then write it down instead because trying to talk about it verbally is not working. But basically, the village they live, the village, yes, the village, the little town they live in is, it's so hard to say it. I'm just going to type it instead because that's easier for me. I'm so sorry for this, but it's just, I can't. I can't say it because I'm just like, I think it's because I'm scared like my brother or my parents are going to walk by and think I'm weird for what I say. Even though they have no idea what the hell I'm talking about, so I don't know why I think that, but just let me type. Oops, sorry if you hear the typing. Forest. I can't spell forest. Breathing. Disappear. Ends with. God, there's some words I should be able to spell, but I just can't. Okay, so here's the thing. I'm just gonna send it in chat because I can't speak in the English, and I'm making myself cringe. So that's the concept I've been playing with. But no, I want them to live. What time is it? Oh boy, I should probably end the stream here real soon. It's also getting to that point where almost no one's here, so I'm most likely just kind of talking to myself. So I'm gonna leave that up just for a little bit longer. Check some things. Discord's empty, never mind. And then I think I'll end it because, like I said in the description, my first day of school is tomorrow. So that means I have to get ready for school and go to bed early, and I want to cry. But I'll try to work on this concept and have it more fleshed out when I post there. Fuck, I can speak. I'm sorry. I get so mad at myself when I do stuff like that. Like a long pause. Like that. Like long pauses. It makes me mad at myself. Because I don't like it when I do that. I don't remember what I was talking about. Just drink some water and calm down. Just drink the water. Delicious agua. I also need to finish working on this speed paint. I don't know if I'm gonna finish it tonight. Maybe. Probably not finish it, but I can at least work on it. Hey! Okay. So I think I'm gonna end the stream here. I think one thing I'm gonna do, normally for these streams, when they go down, I unlist them or private them. I should just private them because unlisting them kind of defeats the purpose. I don't know. But I think for this stream, I'm just gonna leave it up. So if someone wants to listen to this or actually want to hear about the OC discussion thing, they can listen to the archived version. Because this is like, what are they called? Podcast. It's like a podcast. There's no visuals. There's a visual, but you don't have to look at it. and it's most likely just me talking about stuff. It was a good stream. I think it was very, very successful stream. Thank you. It's the first day, so I'm hoping it'll be okay. But my least favorite teacher is my first teacher, and that's that. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end the stream here. So thank you for all. Thank you. Just breathe and think about what you're gonna say. Okay. I want to say thank you to everyone who was here and who listened to my concept, asked questions, or just told me what they thought. And I'm really glad you guys were able to be here and actually listen to my little rant discussion thing. So I'm gonna go now, and I don't know if I'm gonna do another one of these soon. Probably not. It probably won't be till I'm really inspired to do another one, which those kinds of OC inspired flashes come and go. It's usually by a song, knowing me. But anyways, thank you all for being here, and goodbyes. That was the dumbest way I could have said goodbye. I'm just gonna